2 years ago, a Russian woman named Koku Istanbulova died at 129 years old. She was often asked about her lifestyle by those eager to learn her secrets. In those interviews, she emphatically declared that she had not had a single happy day in her whole life. I wondered if that were even possible. Was life in Russia really that different? Her memory was still intact, and she could recall her childhood struggles, living in exile, and many wars. She said that long life is not at all God's gift for me, but a punishment. It was heartbreaking to think about living 129 years without happiness. Koku Istanbulova made me wonder what happiness is and how to live a happy life. So I researched and gathered much information on the subject. Today, I will reveal 7 proven techniques for achieving happiness. To define happiness, we can't just turn to a standard dictionary, or we will find a list of divergent synonyms, including pleasure, bliss, and contentment. Instead, we must turn to the philosophers who have thought about this for centuries. They define happiness as a persistent state of mind that leads to a life which goes well for the person living it. Obviously, happiness is not a measurable quantity. Instead, social scientists have used a scale of subjective well-being. It is a self-reported value that reflects how a person's state of mind changes under differing circumstances. For instance, whether single or married, unemployed versus employed, etc. With large enough samples, statistics show trends on what conditions make people happy. This perceived happiness endures, while pleasure, delight, and exhilaration are just short-lived emotions. When you ask people what would make them happy, you'll get hundreds of different ideas. I surveyed students at my high school and had some interesting answers, like an iPhone 12, a job at Pizza Hut, passing that algebra test, or a date with Kimberly. In a year, if I surveyed these same kids, I would probably find that their answers would be totally different. They would want an iPhone 13, be sick of pizza, struggling in calculus, and now interested in Susan. This is the problem with not understanding what brings happiness. Charles Schulz tells us that happiness is a warm puppy. However, none of my respondents mentioned their pets, except to say that misery is a hungry cat. The most common response to what brings happiness is material goods. Homes, cars, jewelry, or piles of cash. Most people spend their lives in pursuit of material possessions, thinking it will bring them increased happiness. Yet study after study has shown that money doesn't buy happiness. Research done in 2018 showed an interesting phenomenon. For people in poverty, money greatly altered their lifestyle, and they perceived some degree of happiness. However, after $75,000 in annual income, there is zero effect in reported happiness levels, and even a negative effect for the wealthy. What about big homes and nice cars? According to the National Association of Realtors, the average amount of time that a homeowner stays in a house before selling it is 10 years. For cars, Kelley Blue Book reports that Americans drive new cars for just under 6 years and used cars for just over 4. So no matter what you have, you'll probably want to get rid of it in a few years. This doesn't quite equate with long-term happiness. So what does? What is the secret? It is interesting that finding happiness seems to be the goal of just about everyone, but there are no dedicated classes in school, nor happiness experts in society. So I researched the topic and found 7 behaviors that consistently led to greater levels of perceived happiness. Number 1, take care of your body. This includes engaging in daily physical activity, getting enough sleep, and eating right. These seem very basic, but there are proven benefits. For example, a study done in 1999 showed that aerobic exercise was just as effective at treating depression as the prescription drug Zoloft. Number 2, do activities that truly engage you. These are called flow experiences, a term coined in 1991 by a Hungarian psychologist. Flow experiences involve total focus on the activity, and which time and the external world seem to disappear. Studies show that this state correlates with the highest levels of happiness. Practice religion or spirituality is number 3. There are numerous studies, including a recent one done by the Pew Research Center, that show a correlation between faith and happiness. When life has meaning and purpose, it is easier to deal with stress and keep a positive outlook. Number 4, nurture relationships with family and friends. A study done by Harvard researchers over the course of 75 years followed 268 males, charting their physical and emotional health throughout their lives. 2 books were published with the findings. The most important finding of the study was that relationships are the only things that matter in your life. You could have a successful career, money, and good physical health, but without supportive, loving relationships, you would be unhappy. Number 5, live virtuously. This is a simple generalization for a very complex set of ideals. Aristotle was the first to teach the concept of eudaimonia, which is a Greek word that means human flourishing. He identified 11 virtues that will help a person lead a happy life. More than 2,000 years later, Benjamin Franklin made a list of 13 virtues that he followed. He attributed his successes and happiness to living a virtuous life. Aristotle's list and Franklin's list have only a few overlapping ideals. Living virtuously is simply adhering to a code of ethical, personal behavior. Number 6, seek personal growth. This is another aspect of Aristotle's teachings on eudaimonia. Learning a new skill, gaining new insight, and acquiring new knowledge all lead to a life of fulfillment and happiness. Humans have enormous potential, but people often limit themselves as a result of a single failure as a child. How often do we hear someone say, "I'm no good at math," or "I can't draw"? These defeatist ideas are learned when children are very young and go unchallenged as they age. The development of one's potential should be a lifelong pursuit, which is proven to lead to greater happiness. And number 7, serve others. The familiar teaching that lifting another person's burdens will make your burdens lighter is a paradox. It seems counterintuitive that helping someone else could help yourself in the process. Yet studies have shown that doing good for others results in an increase in 3 mood-altering neurotransmitters. Serving others can take many forms, including simple acts such as giving a compliment or smiling at a stranger, or large commitments such as giving time and money to charities. I reworked the familiar adage to read, "Money can't buy you happiness unless you spend it on someone else." However, the best gift that you can give another is the gift of your attention. These 7 proven techniques can provide a happy life to the follower. They work in Russia just as well as they do in the United States. Sadly, the greatest obstacle to attaining happiness is that most of our beliefs about what will make us happy are false. People mistake pleasures of the mind and body for true happiness. These ideas have been ingrained in us by our peers, family, and culture, and we need to re-examine these ideas. Is it possible to live your whole life without happiness, like Koku Istanbulova? Perhaps, but the chances are very small if you take care of your body, do engaging activities, practice spirituality, nurture relationships, live virtuously, seek personal growth, and serve others. Thank you.